Q&A, Jason, Catherine, and Sucharita together. So we're going to go straight to our second speaker, and that is my co-host on today's show, Catherine Munesabian, who is the president and GM North America Commerce for Stanley Black & Decker. Catherine, fire away.
Great, thanks, Larry. So COVID was an aberration in history. All at once, we had to completely reimagine every single aspect of our lives. And as we know, there were many losers, but there were also winners. And hitting very close to home, Stanley Black & Decker, where I work, just reported the best quarter in the company's history. Now, while growth will obviously moderate, I'm here to tell you why strength in home improvement and outdoor, similar to what Jason's retail clients are telling him, is not just a COVID phenomenon. So starting with the homebody economy that emerged during the pandemic. Lockdowns reversed the long-standing trend of declining time spent at home and on material possessions. Home became the command center. It was reorganized and decluttered. We bought plants and rugs and patio heaters. We created home gyms. We redecorated. And to put it in perspective, 80% of homeowners worked on a project during COVID, and almost 40% of consumers said that they used a new tool for the first time. The reasons were varied. No commuting to work meant more time to revisit the to-do list. Landscaping and services were canceled due to safety concerns with using contractors in one's home. And in the absence of travel and going out to eat, there were budget shifts. This reconfiguring of homes then converged with digital trends. Some of the ones that Jason mentioned, but again, to dimensionalize it, 25% of U.S. adults suddenly found themselves in front of screens all day long, as offices digitized overnight. And they spent an hour more per day on digital activities, streaming movies, social media. E-commerce instantly accelerated years into the future, including categories such as tools and materials. While most purchases today, both online and offline, begin online, this is especially true of DIYers who do a lot of pre-work and use their phones for product information. They see YouTube as the place to learn how to build a compost bin. So again, the confluence of these two factors, the homebody economy and digital acceleration, prompted a surge in the sale of tools and lawn and garden equipment, and you can see it in the earnings of home product manufacturers and the home centers. So now flash forward. CDC ended mask mandates and cities are reopening. Will the boom in DIY continue, or will behaviors revert back quickly post-COVID? So the bears might cite supposed headwinds. There's the higher prices for building materials like lumber. The stimulus is going to taper off. Discretionary spending will go back to leisure and entertainment. And people are obviously no longer confined to their homes. So no one has a crystal ball, but generally speaking, there are three categories when it comes to post-pandemic behavior. Number one is, things that snap back to normal. So one example is leisure travel, with some airlines already back to 90% of 2019 levels. Category two, some behavior continues. Maybe, this could be grocery and restaurants where spend levels return closer to 2019, albeit with notable shifts. And then the third category is where there is a fundamental reset, something perhaps like the trend to casual apparel. So when it comes to home improvement trends, Americans will not snap back to pre-pandemic routines. And the first reason is the stickiness of the consumer changes. The 30% of consumers have made substantial investments in their homes. They acquired new skills, they established a DIY habit, and they have a new sense of confidence. You can just look to social media to see how emotional and empowering it is to be a maker. And speaking of habits that are hard to break, consumers are even more comfortable now fueling their DIY passion through e-commerce. And on top of this behavior stickiness, there are also secular trends. So as mentioned earlier, residential construction is booming, fueled by low mortgage rates. We've seen the flight from expensive cities, which will continue with the new, hybrid work arrangements. Then we have both aging housing stock and low inventory. And then finally, millennials are a large percent of first-time homeowners. It was 40% of home purchases last year, and they are flush with savings. And Desmond spoke of pent-up demand, but they are wanting to reinvest in their homes. Survey data would support my optimism. So home means a lot more now. Homeowners expect to spend equal, if not more, in 2020 on their homes than 2020 on their homes, both this year and next. So this, matters to me. I'm in the tool business, but why does this matter more broadly speaking? Industry analysts, Sucharita can chime in, have drastically different estimates on what the future holds. Don't try to find a forecast on e-commerce. They're very varied perspectives. And investors, I think, have priced in caution. But having a perspective on where behaviors will net out is critical as these shifts continue to impact retail, hospitality, real estate, healthcare. Every company will have to reorient themselves post-COVID again. But I am more bullish, more than bullish, when it comes to the homebody economy not being a fad. So in conclusion, pandemic aside, we are, in a VUCA world of volatility, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity, and businesses have to constantly be anticipating where consumer behavior is shifting. The home and the related economy around it took on an entirely new meaning during the pandemic. We can't expect growth to continue at last year's torrid pace, but fixing up the home is now deeply embedded in the homeowner psyche. The housing market's on a tear, and e-commerce and digital acceleration will only intensify. And I personally expect to have a blowout Father's Day.